Despite all this doom and gloom message, that's going all around, Islam is still the fastest growing religion in the world. Why is it so?
You know what? I always leave that to the Almighty. In reality, it's... let me give you a case that happened. I was sitting next to a female on one of my flights, and she happened to talk to me. And I think she found the discussion very engaging, and she started asking me questions. And I began to respond, and at the end she said, I never looked at Islam this way. I didn't even invite her to Islam. All I did was answer her questions. And I think what's happening across the globe with so much of Islamophobia, people want to know the truth. They want to know exactly what Islam is all about. So when they get the opportunity to interact with real Muslims, they will ask a question. When they hear the answer, they will see this is not exactly what I've thought or believed all along. Where I got it from was either the media or someone who hates Islam or whatever else. And here I've got a response that makes a lot of sense. So it draws them a little bit nearer. And a lot of the times you find they will study the faith, and they may feel that the problems that the globe is facing, we have issues of drugs. We have issues of pornography, we have immorality, we have marriages breaking, we have so much of, so many crises, even of a financial nature. And when you study Islam, it has the solution for all of that. So now people begin to understand why Islam, teaches stricter dress code, why it has a specific type of financial rules and regulations, why it has specific dietary requirements. So when they begin to see the light, they start thinking to themselves, you know what, all these problems that we're facing, Islam being as strict as it is, actually solves the problem. You have people in happier homes, people who are dedicated, perhaps more faithful, perhaps, dressed in a way that they're not enslaved by the rest of, those who would like to enslave them and so on. So I'd like to think that that's the will of the Almighty.
What's your message for the Ummah in these very trying times?
I think the message that I have for the Ummah is to be able to reach out to everyone within the faith, those who don't think exactly like you. We need to reach out to them. Even outside the faith, those who perhaps have beliefs that are taboo, we need to reach out to them. I had recently, I met a gay couple. And the interesting thing was, I actually spoke to them. And I spoke to them about Islam, they spoke to me about what they had, and they were really so happy that they got to talk to a Muslim. And I was happy that I got to speak to people who heard what I had to say, and I heard what they had to say. It was very, very unique in the sense that many years back, having been born and brought up in Zimbabwe, obviously, we never ever interacted with gays. So as I grew older and I happened to interact a little bit more, initially it was a little bit of, it was difficult because, anyone who's not used to something or who's never ever been in interaction with a certain type of people, they would feel a little bit uneasy. But at the same time, yes, as you develop and as you grow, it's just like a Christian, it's just like a Jewish person, it's a person who's chosen to be atheist. Initially, when I heard about atheists, I would think, well, people don't believe in God, how can that be? As we grew older, we interacted with them, we heard what they had to say, we had opportunities to respond or to explain, and they had opportunities to explain. We are still different, but we tolerate each other. We may never agree with one another, we may be strong in our opinions. Those are not weak qualities, those are good qualities. To be strong in your view, a leader is strong in his view a lot of the times, and he knows. But he has to be tolerant of people with a different opinion. So I'd like to say that it matures all of us to be able to interact with people. Not that I believe this is right or this is wrong. I think everyone should have the freedom to choose what they believe is right or wrong. The minute we say you no longer have that freedom to choose, I think we're heading in the wrong direction. I think that would cause a disaster. And I think that's where some disasters have been caused already. And some are in the making, because we've got to a stage where we tell people you're not allowed to believe what you're believing. You can't believe that this is wrong. If I want to believe, for example, that another faith is wrong, I have the right. Every faith believes they are the faith that is right. That's what the world is all about. The minute I say, no, you no longer can believe that the other faiths are actually wrong, what am I doing? Am I trying to remove faith from earth? It's not going to happen, because it's ingrained within humankind. They need to believe something. There are a lot of unanswered questions that only religion can bring in, and it actually helps you go through the trials and tribulations of life. So I think we need to learn to tolerate one another, reach out to one another. Let's be mature about things. Let's educate one another in a good way. When we disagree, it doesn't mean that we hate each other or we become intolerant of each other. That's the disagreement. Let's learn to live with the disagreement in harmony. And I can end with an example, a beautiful example, where if you take a look at any nation, the civil service, for example, the civil servants belong to diverse faiths. What are they doing? They're trying to build the nation. Take a look at Singapore, for example. You have Muslims who have served the nation dedicatedly, and they pray 5 times a day. And they have contributed to the nation perhaps more than people who are not Muslim. And it's amazing, because we have to acknowledge this. And it's been going on for decades, not just now. So if we start saying, no, the Muslims did nothing and they didn't contribute, we would actually be foolish. They did. Let's appreciate them. Let's allow them. They've believed what they have believed all along, and they've served the nation, and the nation has grown because of that. And the same applies to most other nations. But we tend to come sometime and to say, you know what, no, you're no longer allowed to do this and that, and you can't. Come on. Let's try and tolerate each other. Let's learn to appreciate what we've done for one another in the past, and the fact that it will continue on condition that we also continue to love one another beautifully. We have husband and wife relations, we have relations of parents and children. They don't always agree. Sometimes they have strong disagreements, but they love each other. They get along. They cannot do without each other in those instances. I hope that that message would actually move a few people, starting with myself, to do more good, because I always believe there's room for improvement, no matter how high or how close to perfection you may feel you have got. I still feel there's room for improvement.